Welcome to this overview of the SFMTA's Park Presidio Lombard Temporary HOV Lanes project. Thank you for watching this presentation to learn more about and provide comment on the Park Presidio Lombard Temporary HOV Lanes. In addition to a full evaluation of the temporary project, if approved by the SFMTA board and implemented, we're also collecting feedback prior to seeking MTA board approval. To give feedback on this project, please contact us via email or phone at the address or phone number below. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed our transportation system, and the impact of this crisis will be felt far beyond the end of the shelter-in-place order. The economic hardship COVID-19 has caused, and will continue to cause, is severe. While this has created many new and unprecedented challenges for transportation, we as an agency are also rising to meet those challenges with new approaches and focusing on ways to improve efficiency and reliability as we bring back public transit. As the city gradually reopens for business and more people need to travel for work or other essential needs, Muni ridership has increased. With more people on board, more measures to support physical distancing are needed. Additional service has been restored to support increasing movement, essential workers, and economic activity. This means improving reliability and efficiency so that our customers aren't stuck on buses that cannot move through traffic. Automobile traffic is returning much faster than transit ridership on Muni and BART, and will soon overwhelm the city's road network without measures to mitigate it. We can't move many more cars than we already are today, and we only have parts of the economy open right now. We are a few months or even weeks away from traffic overwhelming our limited street space. The SFMTA has a deep and urgent responsibility to direct our limited resources to protecting public health and establishing the basis of a strong economy. This map shows the transit travel time reductions during shelter-in-place on some of our busiest lines. While the system-wide average was a 15% travel time reduction during peak periods, some areas saw up to a 50% travel time reduction. Because buses are traveling faster and taking less time to go from end to end, each bus can make more trips, allowing us to provide more frequent service with the same number of buses and operators. This then reduces crowding and supports physical distancing. Notably, where we had already previously implemented Muni Forward projects, which include transit-only lanes, we saw overall very little travel time savings during shelter-in-place because the existing protected transit-only lanes have been so effective. In order to help protect that time savings, we are implementing temporary emergency transit or HOV lanes on busy corridors where we don't already have them. The idea behind these lanes is to save Muni and regional transit customers time, but also to invest this time savings in more frequent service using the same number of buses. This will make transit more useful and attractive, but it will also reduce crowding. Because the transit or HOV lanes are merely striped and are not red carpet lanes, which are more permanent, they are temporary and can be easily removed if needed. They must be removed 120 days after the citywide emergency order ends, or they can be made permanent with a full public process that includes a public hearing at the MTA Board of Directors. If the temporary lanes prove successful, we can start that process to make some or all of them permanent. We'll be seeking your input about how success should be measured a little later in this presentation when we talk about how we'll monitor and evaluate the performance of the temporary lanes. I should note, by the way, that these lanes can also be used by emergency vehicles. This video helps illustrate how the time and cost savings from transit and HOV lanes work. When a bus can complete its cycle more quickly, the same number of buses can provide more frequent service. The temporary emergency HOV lanes that serve transit are meant to ensure that people who have the fewest travel choices are not stuck on crowded, slow buses. We know these are predominantly lower-income people of color. Essential workers need to get to their jobs and homes as safely and quickly as possible, and people making essential trips like going to the hospital or grocery stores need the same. The lanes will help reduce the spread of COVID-19 as we continue to reopen, and before vaccination is widespread, by providing additional space on buses for physical distancing. And they will ensure that the city's economic recovery isn't stopped in its tracks by crippling traffic congestion. Temporary emergency transit lane and HOV corridors were chosen based on factors including travel time savings, social equity, input from supervisors, ease of implementation, proximity to hospitals, transit service levels, and complementary benefits such as bike safety. All of these lines serve Muni equity strategy neighborhoods. Everyone on the line will benefit from these travel time improvements even if the lanes are not located in their neighborhood, since transit and HOV lanes support increased frequency and improve reliability along the entire route. Looking specifically at Park Presidio, Lombard, and Crossover Drive, in this graph you can see average speeds on Park Presidio and Crossover Drive southbound during the evening rush hour, courtesy of the SFCTA's COVID-19 era congestion tracker. In the first week of March 2020, the average speed was 11.7 miles per hour. By mid-March, shortly after shelter-in-place began, it had reached 27.9 miles per hour. But it's been steadily declining ever since. In the last week of 2020, it was 14.2 miles per hour, a little over half of what it was in the early days of COVID, and not much faster than it was before COVID. On Muni's Route 28 19th Avenue, which normally operates on both Park Presidio and Lombard, we saw dramatic improvements in speed in the first weeks of shelter in place. In just 3 weeks, it went from an average speed southbound between Lake and Lincoln during the evening rush hour of 12.4 miles per hour to 19.3 miles per hour, over a 50% improvement. This map shows the corridors for the proposed project. These are major transit corridors that are also state highways, which required us to partner with Caltrans. And we've come up with an innovative solution. These would be HOV lanes. Note, by the way, that Lombard and Richardson is a major regional transit corridor and serves as a route for Golden Gate Transit express buses. And that the HOV lanes here would connect to the future bus rapid transit lines on Van Ness. Here you can see some key facts about the proposal. Each street is 3 lanes each way. The lane closest to the curb would be converted to HOV and right turn only. There would be no changes to the other 2 lanes. There would be no removal of parking. 1/3 of traffic is already HOV, so there should be little effect on traffic. Transit customers and carpoolers will be protected from any future growth in drive-alone trips. We will closely monitor traffic volumes along the project corridor and will adjust them as needed. And we are closely coordinating with Caltrans on design, outreach, and approval. Here you can see a visualization of what the proposal would look like on Lombard. As you can see, the only change is the designation of the outer lanes. Otherwise, everything would remain exactly as it is, including both remaining traffic lanes as well as curbside parking and loading. Here you can see Park Presidio. Again, only the designation of the outer lane changes. Here you can see Park Presidio bypass at Fulton on the north side of Golden Gate Park. And here you can see Crossover Drive in the park. As part of the Transportation Recovery Plan, we have been developing a framework for evaluation of temporary emergency infrastructure. We have also been developing public outreach strategies that will allow us to engage with the community. Technical observations and community feedback will help us decide whether to pursue making the temporary HOV lanes permanent, but also if adjustments and modifications should be made if we pursue a permanent project. In conclusion, we welcome your input. This slide summarizes our process. Right now, we are in the first box on the left. In March, we hope to go to our board of directors for approval. If approved, we would implement soon after. We will immediately begin evaluation once the temporary emergency HOV lanes are installed. Please complete our pre-evaluation survey to provide input on the metrics we'll use to evaluate the effectiveness of the temporary HOV lanes. In addition to this pre-evaluation survey, we'll be distributing another survey after implementation of the HOV lanes to gather feedback on the effectiveness of the HOV lanes. Go to sfmta.com/templanes28, where there will be a link to sign up for alerts. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.